fun. The name of this project is Black Arts Revamped. In a nutshell, I want to highlight the talent that's from Cincinnati.
Okay.
It's a perfect opportunity to grant what it stands for. Is that we definitely need more exposure, and you know, so over the years, trying to be an artist, fall into X amount of pitfalls. And talking with friends that had the same struggles, those that had succeeded, it's the same similarities.
Okay.
Some of us either are professional or like institutionally trained, those who had a knack for it, or someone showed us something and we just took it from there. But no one knows the business side, and that's where things get harried. We all try to find our own ways to make it happen. Others are more successful, have a structured plan, or they learn as they go.
Right.
No one, always see out the gate. So, what we can, I want to get everybody's stories as well as that's the context. I want to show that as well as how did you get yourself to where you are, and what are you doing? Where has it taken you? Are you helping those along the way, etc. So
Okay.
So that's going to be the ballpark of the
Gotcha.
questions. So first off, I'm going to state your name.
Okay. My name is Annie Ruth.
How long have you been creating art?
Wow. Professionally, I've been creating art over 40 years. But art has always been a part of me. I've been doing this since that I can remember, since I was 3 years old. So, this year I'll be 59, so you might as well say I've been doing this for 56 years and have always been encouraged by my family to really pour my heart and soul into my gift.
Okay. What message does your art convey?
The message that my art conveys is really about positive self-image, positive self-expression. People can learn even a lot about me as a Black woman through my art. Sometimes, and I'm both a visual artist, I kind of call myself a Renaissance artist because mainly I started out as a visual artist, but I'm also a writer and spoken word artist who sings. And I don't act as much, but I can get very dramatic in my presentation. So you might as well say I'm a multidisciplined artist. But 56 years of doing this, my art has always been reflective of my life. So particularly with my writing will always dive into something that's real, touchable, tangible. You feel it and you experience it.
What roadblocks have you faced as an artist?
Living in Cincinnati, and a lot of people don't address the elephant in the community. Racism has always been a big roadblock. Classism has been a roadblock. And the other thing about Cincinnati arts people don't talk about, it is very cliquish. So you've got to learn how, for me, I've had to navigate through several communities, several classes, several cliques, but at the same time, being authentically Annie Ruth. There's sometimes I've encountered some racial barriers or some stereotypes or some biases that part of you wanted to kind of put people on Front Street, but you realize you kind of have to check and balance. Is winning this battle, will it hurt the war? So I say for a lot of the older generation, they've kind of taken a lot of stuff behind the scenes to further the cause or opportunity for some of the younger artists that are coming up behind them.
I can definitely relate just on
Mhm.
The clicks that I've seen flourish and then crumble so fast.
Mhm.
And then I realized it's not just Cincinnati.
Right.
So when I started traveling and going to different venues, I was saying, oh, it's like that in Chicago, it's
Mhm.
like that in Indianapolis. So those that really push past that, figured out how to
You really,
sidestep
right?
it.
Yes,
You
it's
can
almost
go-
like football, right? Like you come in, somebody's coming to tackle you. You got to pivot and turn and twist. And I think really experiencing COVID during the last couple of years with the whole, you know, quarantines and shutdowns, it's made us pivot and adjust even our presentation, our messaging, how it's messaged. But you know what? No matter what field we're in, there's always going to exist biases. There's always going to exist cliques. There's always going to exist stuff that's kind of faddish. People, because right now people are like, oh yeah, you know, we're really promoting, you know, black art. For some of the mainstream or the more, you know, larger Caucasian-based or European or Eurocentric-based institutions, for some it can be cliquish and kind of faddish. They're kind of going with the motions of everybody else. But for some, there's truly a desire to truly be inclusive and not taint the authentic voice of the artist. And so I always look for doing partnerships and stuff with those kind of institutions.
Have you experienced any trauma facing those roadblocks, or anything that you would be willing to share? Like, you know,
Yeah.
because it's definitely hard being an artist.
Mhm.
And
You know, and I think I can share the experience without even necessarily naming who the experience occurred with. But there was one time I saw many artists getting grant dollars from, it was a private nonprofit who pretty much can choose how they wanted to spend their money. And they were giving out grants and they were giving out fellowships. Well, you know, a $20,000 grant, I had done levels at those kind of things. I said, let me go for the fellowship. The fellowship was like $100,000 for me to really do a project that I really, really wanted to do. And I got really far in the process to where I was almost one of the 2 finalists. And they actually scrapped the whole program. So I did all that homework, all the grant preparation, and they scrapped the whole program and said, oh, we found out that we're not doing this the right way. But it's like you scrap the whole program when a black woman gets to that, almost at that finish line of quote, winning. And I never put the organization on Front Street, never did a interview, never blasted them, because the reality, it kind of looked, I had to decide, would winning that battle hurt the future of the artists coming behind me, or would it help? And I kind of looked at it like it would hurt, you know, particularly as black women. There's always this misconception of the angry black woman. And I was like, when it's all said and done, that's private dollars, is their money, even though, you know, I think they missed an opportunity. I looked at that closed door as a blessing, just to go another avenue. Now, I'm not going to sit here and act like it did not hurt and it did not anger me, but I really got a sense of seeing what our ancestors had to deal with, even when it comes to stuff like Black Wall Street, or people, you going through the rules and you jump through the hoops that they established. And then once they see, oh wow, they done jumped through all these hoops that we done established, that is higher than what they expect from anybody else, right? And then all of a sudden change the rules on you mid-game. That's kind of traumatic. But I could say I could either let this make me or let it break me. And I choose to let it make me.
so what influenced you?
My major influence is, you know, and you hear a lot of people attribute their major influence to their parents, but the biggest major influence for me has been my mother. And my mother battled with mental illness with me growing up as a young girl. And particularly, I came up during the time where people said artists, and there was always this quote of starving artists, just this negative persona placed on art. But I never got that from my mother. There was one phrase that she always said constant throughout the time I was 3 years old all the way up. And she would say, "That's pretty, baby." And whatever I would make, she would say, "That's pretty, baby." And whatever I would do, even though I was excelling in my college preparatory studies, I was excelling in my artwork. But the encouragement that I always received from my mom, and then on the flip side of that, I have an older sister who is like about 15 months older than I am. The encouragement and support that I received from her, even when I began to publish my books, she would literally, if you probably heard the story of Prince, where he would sell, when he first started, he was producing and selling records out of his trunk. I can remember producing and selling my books out of the car and wherever. I mean, you would catch me on the street corners, but it has been a strong family foundation that has encouraged me to explore my creativity and always remain authentic in my voice and what I'm expressing.